When she moved on so fast, that first hit doesn't just sting, it shakes your soul. You start questioning everything. Was any of it real? Did those late-night talks, the laughter, the sacrifices, the moments you thought meant everything, suddenly mean nothing? It feels like she tore out the pages of your story and started a new one without you, leaving you stuck in a chapter that no longer exists. You scroll through your memories, searching for where it went wrong, trying to find the exact moment she began to let go while you were still holding on. That confusion, that ache in your chest, it's not weakness. It's proof you cared deeply. But caring doesn't mean you have to keep bleeding. What you need to understand is she didn't move on because she found someone better. She moved on because she couldn't face the emptiness that comes after losing something real. What she's showing the world right now, those smiles, that glow, that new man, it isn't love. It's distraction. She's trying to convince herself that she's okay by pretending she's already healed. But deep down, she knows she's running. Because people who are at peace don't need noise, don't need to rush into new arms to feel whole again. The truth is, her fast move isn't about you at all, it's about her avoiding her own silence. And that silence is exactly where your power begins. You have to stop looking at her and start looking at yourself. Because how you respond right now will define you. You can let this moment break you, or you can let it build you into the kind of man who doesn't need validation to feel worthy. Let her run from her pain. You face yours. That's how you rise. She didn't heal, brother, she escaped. When someone leaves and jumps straight into another man's arms, it's not a sign of strength or growth. It's avoidance dressed up as confidence. She couldn't handle the silence that followed the breakup, because silence is where truth lives. It's in the quiet moments where the heart starts to speak, where the reality of loss hits hardest. Most people can't face that. They don't want to sit with the loneliness, the regret, the reflection that asks, what part did I play in all this? So instead of healing, she runs. She fills the space with noise, with another person's attention, another man's affection, hoping it will drown out the ache she refuses to confront. But pain doesn't vanish just because you ignore it. Unprocessed pain hides, it buries itself deep beneath the surface and waits for its chance to rise again. She's smiling now, laughing, posting pictures that make it look like she's living her best life, but those are just masks. You can't outrun what's inside. Eventually, the glow fades, the excitement dulls, and that same emptiness she tried to bury comes crawling back, louder than before. And when it does, it won't just hurt, it'll haunt her. Because she'll realize that running never healed her, it only postponed the inevitable. Don't let her speed fool you into thinking she's stronger. Healing takes patience, honesty, and solitude. Escaping takes fear. And that's all this is, fear of sitting alone long enough to feel the weight of her own choices. While she's out there chasing distractions, you stay still. Sit with your silence. Feel your pain. Because while she's escaping hers, you'll be mastering yours, and that's the difference between running away and rising above. Her new man isn't your rival, brother, he's her bandage. I know it burns when you see them together, that feeling in your chest that says she replaced you, that she found someone better. But you've got to understand something, she didn't upgrade, she just covered the wound. That man isn't your competition, he's her distraction. He's not there because she's found a deeper connection, he's there because she can't face being alone. Right now, she's chasing comfort, not love. And that comfort comes from pretending she's moved on, from convincing herself that the problem wasn't inside her but in the man she left behind. But what she doesn't realize is that pain doesn't disappear when you run from it, it only waits in silence, building strength. The truth is, that new man is walking into a storm he doesn't even see coming. He's not the cure, he's a cover-up. He's trying to love a woman who hasn't healed, who's still bleeding from a past she refuses to face. One day he'll notice the cracks, the moments when she zones out, the way her eyes drift when his words don't hit the same way yours did. He'll feel her distance and not understand why. It's because he's not being loved, he's being used to fill a void. He was chosen not from love but from fear, fear of silence, fear of loneliness, fear of reflection. And that's not something to envy, it's something to pity. So don't waste your energy comparing yourself to him. You're not losing to another man, you're being replaced by a coping mechanism. Let him play the role he doesn't realize he's in. Because one day, when the noise fades, she'll realize the truth: he was never the solution. He was just the shield she used to avoid herself. Don't be fooled by her performance, brother. What you're seeing on her social media, those smiles, the trips, the new outfits, the laughs with her new man, it's all part of a show. Every picture, every caption, every story is a carefully crafted illusion meant to send one message: I'm happier without you. But if someone is truly happy, they don't need to announce it to the world. Real peace is quiet. Real healing happens in private. What she's doing now isn't living, it's performing. It's a desperate attempt to convince herself, her friends, and especially you that she's fine. But behind those filters and forced smiles is a woman trying to silence the ache that still lingers when the lights go out. You have to remember, most people don't post their pain. They don't show the empty nights, the quiet tears, the regret that creeps in when nobody's watching. They only post what distracts them from the truth. Her laughter online? It's loud because she's trying to drown out the silence inside. Every time she uploads a photo, she's not just seeking validation from others, she's seeking it from herself. She's trying to prove that she made the right choice, that she's thriving without you, even though part of her still looks back. And here's the thing: the louder she performs, the more you know she's struggling. Because real happiness doesn't need an audience, but pain does. So don't let her performance fool you into thinking she's won. You're not watching her freedom, you're watching her denial. Let her keep pretending, because every act she puts on only delays the truth she'll eventually have to face: that she's not over you, and no amount of applause will fill what's missing inside. Comparison will destroy you, brother. It's the quiet poison that eats away at your confidence when you least expect it. You find yourself scrolling through his social media, staring at pictures, analyzing every detail: his smile, his clothes, his car, his lifestyle, and before you even realize it, you've built him up in your mind as someone better than you. You start believing that she left because he's more of a man, that he's everything you couldn't be. But that's the lie comparison tells you. You're looking at his highlights while living through your lowest moment. You're measuring your worth against a version of him that doesn't even exist. You don't know his struggles, his insecurities, or the truth behind those photos. You're comparing your raw pain to his filtered presentation. And the more you do it, the more power you give away. Every thought about him is energy you're taking away from yourself. You're feeding a fantasy and starving your potential. The real competition isn't him, it's the man you were yesterday. That's the only race that matters. Instead of asking, is he better than me, start asking, am I becoming stronger, wiser, calmer than I was before? That's how you reclaim control. Because growth isn't loud, it's silent, consistent, disciplined. The moment you stop checking her posts and his life is the moment you start to rebuild your own. You'll feel your strength return when your focus shifts inward, when you start feeding your own evolution instead of fueling your doubts. Comparison blinds you to your value, but self-focus restores it. Remember this: you don't rise by competing, you rise by healing, building, and becoming. The man who focuses on himself doesn't chase validation. He becomes it. Her control over you ended the moment you went silent. What really unsettles her isn't your absence, it's the absence of your attention. Attention is power, and for a long time, she fed off yours. Every text you sent, every reaction to her posts, every time you checked her story, it gave her energy. It reminded her that she still mattered to you. But when you finally stopped, when you withdrew your energy and went completely silent, that's when the shift happened. Because silence is louder than words. It's the one thing she can't manipulate, can't predict, can't ignore. At first, she might act like she doesn't care. She'll keep posting, keep smiling, keep trying to show she's unbothered. But beneath that surface, curiosity begins to stir. She starts to notice that your name doesn't show up anymore, that your views are gone, that your energy, something she took for granted, has completely vanished. That silence becomes a mirror, forcing her to face herself, to sit with the emptiness she thought she escaped. And that's when the cracks begin to form. She'll start wondering what you're doing, who you're with, if you've moved on, if someone else has your attention now. That curiosity will eat away at her because silence breeds mystery, and mystery creates attraction. The more you say nothing, the more she feels everything. You see, silence isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's how men reclaim their peace, their focus, their dignity. You don't win by reacting, you win by disappearing into your purpose. When you stop feeding her ego, you take back your energy. And when she finally realizes that your silence speaks louder than her performance, that's when she'll understand what she truly lost: your presence, your peace, your power. The man she left isn't the man you're becoming. Let that sink in. She didn't walk away from the strongest version of you, she walked away from the version that forgot who he was. Maybe you got too comfortable, too forgiving, too focused on keeping her happy that you forgot to keep yourself grounded. You might have tolerated things you shouldn't have, ignored red flags because love made you blind, or held on tighter while she was already letting go. But that man she left behind doesn't define you. He was part of your journey, not your destination. And now, this is your turning point. Breakups are like fire, they either burn you down or forge you into something stronger. You get to decide which one it'll be. You don't heal by proving her wrong, you heal by proving yourself right. You rise not to make her regret leaving, but to remind yourself what kind of man you are when you're focused, disciplined, and self-respecting. Growth isn't about revenge, it's about redemption. Every time you work on yourself, every time you choose to stay quiet instead of begging, every time you pour your energy into your goals instead of her feed, you're rebuilding your foundation. You're no longer the man who needs validation from someone who didn't value you. You're becoming the man who creates his own value. And one day, when she looks back, she won't just remember who you were, she'll see who you became without her. That's when regret hits. But by then, you won't be waiting for it. You'll be too far ahead, too evolved, too focused on your mission to even glance back. Because the man who turns heartbreak into growth isn't broken, he's reborn. Jealousy is the quiet trap that keeps you chained to the past, brother. It convinces you that she found someone better, that the new man is somehow more deserving, more confident, more everything you weren't. You start replaying images in your mind, imagining them laughing together, picturing all the things she used to do with you, but now with him. That's how jealousy works. It builds illusions, not truths. It takes your imagination and uses it against you. But here's what you need to see clearly: you're not losing to him. You're losing to a fantasy that never existed. Because if she truly downgraded, and let's be honest, she probably did, then what exactly are you jealous of? You're not missing out on love, you're watching a rerun of the same story you've already seen, only with a new character who doesn't yet realize he's part of her escape. That man isn't the prize. He's part of her pattern. He's the rebound, the distraction, the temporary fix that helps her avoid the reflection she's too scared to face. You know her cycles. You've seen her habits. She'll drain him the same way she drained you because she's still the same person running from the same pain. So instead of feeling jealousy, feel gratitude. Be thankful it's no longer your turn to carry that weight. Let him have the chaos while you build peace. Because while he's trapped in her illusion, you're free to rebuild your reality. Jealousy fades the moment you realize your worth isn't tied to who she's with, it's tied to who you're becoming. Don't envy his role in her distraction. Pity it. You escaped the cycle. He just walked into it. And that's not loss, brother, that's liberation. Time always exposes the truth, brother. Rebounds burn bright at first, but they burn out fast. They start with intensity, excitement, and the thrill of something new, but that glow doesn't last. When the spark fades and the mask falls, the silence creeps back in, the same silence she tried so hard to escape. And it's in that silence where regret lives. Regret doesn't hit her when she's out smiling for pictures, when she's getting attention, or when she's wrapped up in the arms of her new distraction. It hits her late at night, when everything is quiet, when her phone stops lighting up, when the laughter fades and she's left alone with her thoughts. That's when your presence returns to her mind, the way you made her feel safe, the way your energy steadied her chaos, the way your silence once spoke louder than words. She'll remember that, and it'll sting. But by then, everything will be different. Because while she's been performing for the world, you've been building yourself in private. While she's been chasing attention, you've been mastering your focus. That's the difference. You used your pain as fuel, and it turned you into someone she won't even recognize. When she finally realizes what she lost, you won't be waiting, you'll be rising. The man she once knew won't exist anymore. The new version of you will be too grounded, too evolved, too distant for her to reach. And that's when she'll truly understand the weight of her choices. Because the real battle was never between you and him, it was always between you and your old self. And when you chose discipline over desperation, peace over reaction, silence over chaos, you already won. The show ended for her. But for you, it's only just beginning.